Okay, welcome back to week 2, some more senior thesis slideshows and videos. Hopefully we worked most of the technical things out so far, but we will continue to try to make this class even more interactive and informative and helpful as we continue to just get the feel of everything here this semester. So we thank you for your continued patience. Glad everybody got into seeing the videos and things last week. So now this week I want to focus on a little bit more of the still some introductory things, but also progressing forward into some more practical aspects of thesis itself and some of the things as you start to get into thinking about your topic, how you're going to research it, what are you actually going to do with this class. So we're still in the preliminary idea category a little bit, as you can see from the unit topic on the main homepage of the class, but we're still starting to do some more practical things as well. So the topic here this week is called Stasis Theory. It's about asking the right questions, as you can see here from this introductory slide. And there's some aspects to it. As always, we're going to start with just some definitions, what we're talking about here, trying to get you a little bit more familiar with it. It may sound completely foreign to you at this point, but once we get into it in the next couple of slides and videos, it'll be very straightforward, very simple. I talk about theory and practicality and some distinctions about asking these questions and what these questions are and how to make the most of them. And so that's just a brief outline of what we're going to be doing in the next couple of videos here. All right, but like I said, it's very simple, even though it's again a classical Greek and Latin term. Stasis is really, when you get down to it, is the issue at which all parties agree to disagree. Okay, in the ancient world, it had some aspects of where this argument actually occurs. It's the philosophical, intellectual realm where this disagreement is happening. Okay, and so this is where you would meet to disagree. What is it actually that we are talking about? What is the idea that we are viewing differently? And what is the issue? That is the nature of stasis theory. And so it's an important thing to really understand when you want to convince somebody that your perspective is correct. You need to start from this, making sure that you are actually debating and discussing the same issue. Because if you aren't, as we'll see in the few slides ahead, no progress and no meaningful conversation can happen. If you are arguing from one perspective of the issue and you think that the other side is arguing the same issue but from a different perspective, and then you find out you're arguing two different issues at the same time, there's not going to be a whole lot of progress or happy people involved in that discussion. So finding out what the stasis is, what the issue is, very important, as you can understand by now, when you're talking about proving a point and talking to other people. So when you're asking these questions, as we'll get to in the another video, but you can see the whole copy of it in your copy of the slideshow. You are finding these arguments, and not only, as we said before, last week, when you are going to confirm your arguments, but also refute key counter arguments against your thesis. You're going to need to spend some time thinking about, well, what do my opponents think? What are the issues that people who disagree with me, what do they believe? Why do people disagree with this issue already? Why is there controversy at all? Not just, most of you are probably not going to be writing about a thesis about something that's so new that no one has ever really thought about it before. You're probably going to be talking about an issue that already exists, has existed for some time, and people agree with you and people will disagree with you. You want to know, well, why do these people disagree with me? We're not going to take the perspective of, well, they disagree with me, so therefore they're not as smart as me and they're not worth my time. Obviously, that's a terrible position to take, certainly as Christians. That is not any way to treat people who disagree with you about Jesus and salvation, things like that. So we certainly want to practice, basic human, decency and grace when we're talking about people that disagree with us. So why you are going to find both sides of the issue is, and you've got 5 good reasons right here. Clarify what you actually believe, making sure that you know why you believe what you're believing. And, number 2 forces you to think about the audience itself. Your audience might just be people who need persuading. It may not be necessarily people that disagree with you, but they are probably, when they hear the nature of this issue, they're probably going to come with some preconceived ideas and assumptions about this, and so you need to know what your audience already probably thinks about this issue and whether they agree with you or not. Know where more research needs to be done, and you might think you have a good, solid grasp of this issue, but then you realize, well, why do my opponents believe what they believe? I need to figure out what is the evidence for the other sides of this issue. And maybe you need to do more research about your opposition. Maybe you need to do more research about the history of what were the key maybe court cases or key scientific breakthroughs that brought this issue to where we are today. Figure out which proofs are crucial to the case, what is more important than others, what you can leave out. If everybody already knows the beginning basic points on both sides of the issue, you don't need to spend a whole lot of time talking about them if everybody already knows that. And possibly point to the most effective arrangement of your proofs. As we talked about before, you're going to not only have important things to say, but put them in the right order, and knowing what both sides believe might be a key aspect of that as well. All right. So as we said, there are two sides at least to every issue, right? And you might think, well, there are some that are so obvious that they're just wholly good and wholly bad. There can't possibly be everything that you disagree with, right? But well, some issues like food and sickness and death are good for some and bad for others. You think, well, food might not be good for you actually if you are already sick, or if you have a stomach virus or something, food is going to make it worse, right? Sickness might always seem like it's a bad thing, but then once you've gone through that experience, your body builds up antibodies and things to maybe make you stronger once you've gone through that as well. You have a accidental bone broken or something, it sets and it heals, and it may be stronger after it sets than others, right? Death, we certainly as Christians, we know that it's obviously a terrible and painful thing, but as Christians, we know that this life is not the end of everything, and the next life should be even better than this. So it's bad and difficult to experience it, but for those that have gone before us that know Jesus personally, certainly they're much better off than we are. So we're not saying that there are always two sides to everything, meaning that there's no right or wrong. Obviously, we certainly believe that there are absolute truth. We're not arguing that good and bad are the same thing depending on your perspective. We're certainly not saying that. But it is important to know that there are aspects of every issue, even the ones that seem most obvious, that we need to think through and be aware and be prepared to discuss what are the good and the bad aspects of pretty much every idea, especially for your senior thesis.